Hey babes, welcome to Gore&Gossip. I'm Jordan, and joining me this week is my fiance, Danielle.
Hello, everyone.
Because Nicole is gone this week for some family and taking a break, we decided that Danielle will join me and listen to this week's podcast. How do you feel?
I'm scared.
Oh my gosh, as you should be. Because this week we're talking about the Arnie Johnson case, or the devil made me do it case. This case came after our Ed and Lorraine Warren episode, because if you didn't notice, Nicole and I were both like, we have to do a deeper dive on Arnie, because how insane is it that you murder someone and then plead that you are unguilty, not guilty, because you say that you were possessed by a demon?
It's just crazy. I just think the whole thing is crazy.
I also think the whole thing is crazy. So
It's messed up.
It is very messed up. And so we're going to dive deeper into Arnie Johnson, because truly it is just insane. Arnie Cheyenne Johnson was the first person in U.S. history to use demonic possession as a legal defense in a murder trial. The case gained national attention and remains one of the most infamous episodes involving Ed and Lorraine Warren, who claimed the crime stemmed from a failed exorcism months earlier. But who was Arnie? Before this all happened, who was he? And how did he get that claim to fame?
We're going to find out.
So, Arnie Cheyenne Johnson was born on January 21st, 1961 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He was a regular, schmegular old Connecticut boy. He was described as a quiet, mild-mannered, and responsible young man, someone who showed no prior signs of violence or criminal behavior. When he was in his teens, he was a tree surgeon, or better known as an arborist.
What is a tree surgeon?
That's how he was described. I literally looked through so many different articles, and he was described as a tree surgeon, but it just means that he is an arborist or a landscaper. So he would help trees become healthier.
Trees?
Yeah.
Cut down the trees?
Cut down the trees, help them be revived, that kind of thing. And he was described as respectful by coworkers and community members. But when he was 12 years old, he met Debbie Glatzel, a 26-year-old, at a supermarket, and that led to them dating in the future. But I feel like that's kind of weird that Debbie would be seeing a 12-year-old boy and being like, he's going to be handsome. He's the one I'm going to date.
How were they both the same age?
No, she was 26.
Okay, did you say her age?
She was 26. I feel like that's a little sussy.
That's kind of...
Yeah. A little sussy, but allegedly, in my opinion, a little sussy. But anyways, their relationship grew more serious as Arnie had to take care of his siblings, as his mother was sick. So Debbie would also care for Arnie and his other siblings, which was actually very sweet. I mean, obviously, you're an adult. You can care for this family, I guess. We want to care for this family.
I still can't get over the age, though.
I know illegal. That age, it is illegal. That's why it's like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about it. So this version of events was from the Discovery Channel's A Haunting episode, Where Demons Dwell, where Arnie and Debbie provided firsthand accounts to this murder. So everything that I'm going to say now is according to Arnie and Debbie in this episode. And we can even watch the episode after if you want to watch it. I love The Haunting TV series. Have you ever seen it, babe?
No, I don't think I have. The TV series?
Yeah, from Discovery. Like, where like they would provide their firsthand accounts and then they would reenact it. Like, it would be dramatized.
No, but we can watch it.
Bet. Okay, we're watching it after.
We're gonna watch it.
So they said that paranormal activity began after they went to clean up a rental property they had acquired. David, Debbie's little brother, recalled an old man suddenly appeared, pushing him and terrifying him while they were inside the apartment cleaning it up. And this was like a child, like 8 years old. The couple initially thought that David was using the old man as an excuse to avoid cleaning the apartment they were redoing. But David informed them that the old man had vowed to harm the Glatzels if they moved into the rental home. David's visions of the old man included the man appearing as a demonic beast who muttered Latin and threatened to steal his soul. Although the family allegedly heard strange noises coming from the attic, no one but David ever witnessed the old man.
Is he telling the truth?
I know. And after David experienced night terrors, exhibited strange behavior, and obtained unexplained scratches and bruises, the family called upon the services. I know. Cue my scratches and
I don't
bruises.
know if you can tell. But...
I don't think you can see, but I got random scratches on my neck. Very weird. Anyways, I digress. The family called upon the services of a Catholic priest who attempted to bless the house. The terrified family concluded that the house was evil and would no longer continue to rent it. But David's visions worsened, occurring the daytime as well. So yeah, you have like night terrors during the night, but to have them during the day,
yeah, that's messed up.
that is messed up. 12 days after the original incident, the family summoned the demonologists, our favorite, not really, Ed and Lorraine Warren, to assist. Lorraine allegedly witnessed a black mist materialize next to David, an indication of a malevolent presence. Debbie and her mother told the Warrens they had seen David being beaten and choked by invisible hands, and that red marks had appeared on his neck afterwards, as if he was choked by someone.
They saw
the marks, or like him being like, you know, like they saw him,
they
like
saw that. Oh.
Yeah, but like they didn't see the hand. They saw him just be like, you can't breathe. That's kind of scary. I'm sorry.
That's
okay.
Scary.
David had started to growl, hiss, speak in otherworldly voices, and recite passages from the Bible or Paradise Lost, which is a 17th century epic poem from 1667, all about the fall of Lucifer, the rebellion of angels, Adam and Eve, and humanity's banishment from Eden. It's heavy and theological and not exactly bedtime reading for an 11-year-old. Like it's a pretty intense poem if you ever had to read it. I remember reading it in high school.
You read it?
Did you have to read it?
I don't remember. I really
Good.
don't.
I'm glad because it gave me nightmares.
I don't think I did, but
it gave me nightmares. So I'm glad you didn't have to read it. Anyways, so when the Warrens claimed David was quoting Paradise Lost in strange voices, they were using it as evidence that he was channeling knowledge he couldn't have known on his own, aka proof of possession. Because what 11-year-old is reading this like 17th century text and able to recite it, or even like the Bible and able to recite it?
Yeah.
In reality, some scholars and skeptics argue that this detail was probably dramatized or fed to the family by the Warrens to build their case, since Paradise Lost was often linked to imagery of demons, Satan, and temptation. Anyways, let's get back on track. That was just a side speaking.
Side note.
So the Glatzels recounted how each night a family member would remain awake with David as he suffered through spasms and convulsions. So he was just shaking, like seizing on the bed. How crazy.
That's crazy.
After receiving a prognosis of multiple possessions from the Warrens, David was subjected to 3, quote, lesser exorcisms. So they weren't like the full intense, like, oh, be gone, be gone, be gone, be gone. They're just lesser. Whatever that means. Lorraine stated that David levitated, ceased breathing for a time, and even demonstrated the supernatural ability of precognition, saying, you better watch out, Arnie is going to kill someone, specifically in relation to the manslaughter. According to eyewitness testimony, Arnie Johnson egged on one of the demons, saying to possess him while participating in David's exorcism, saying, take me on, leave my little buddy alone. And he's saying that during the exorcism as they're actively like talking to the demon, being like, take me on, like come into me, leave my little buddy alone. I don't know if I would ever do that. Ever. I mean,
No, I don't think I would either.
I don't think I ever see myself being a part of that. I hope.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think I would ever be like, come into me instead. You know? I don't know if I ever would. He was then allegedly attacked rather viciously by the demon, which apparently took control of his car and forced him to drive it into a tree. But Arnie was unharmed. So this demon took over his car and made him crash into a tree.
But saved him from dying in the
Like
car crash.
That's a little another sussy situation. Anyways, after this incident, Arnie returned to the rental property to examine an old well that supposedly housed the demon. I don't know how he knew, but apparently this well is where the demon lives. In both the dramatized version in the TV show and his personal account, Arnie said that this was his final encounter with the demon while completely lucid. So this was the last time that he was fully there, that he witnessed the demon firsthand.
Oh.
Keep that in mind. Okay. After making eye contact with the demon, he became possessed. The Warrens claim to have warned him not to do this. And all the while, David's condition worsened further. Debbie and Arnie, who had been living in their mother's home, decided it was time to move. So they're like, let's get out of this woman's house that we're living in and let's move. Debbie was hired by Alan Bono, a new resident in Brookfield, as a dog groomer. Debbie and Arnie began renting an apartment close to her place of employment. And after moving in, Arnie started to exhibit odd behavior that was strikingly similar to David's. Hissing, growling, which caused Debbie to fear that he had become possessed as well. Imagine me just hissing at you. Just, I don't know. That's weird. Growling. No, weird.
And if you start doing that, I'll know you were possessed.
You would throw me out. Are you kidding? You would be like, I think you need to go somewhere else. And according to Debbie, Arnie would fall into a trance-like state, wherein he would growl, hallucinate, but later have no memory of it. So you just see me stopped right here in this state. Would you throw me out then too?
No, I would never. We'll just have to call Ed and Lorraine.
They're dead.
From the grave.
Obviously. Then, on February 18th, 1981, Johnson called in sick to his job at Right Tree Service and joined Debbie at the kennel where she worked, along with her sister, Wanda, and Debbie's 9-year-old cousin, Mary. Alan, Bono, the couple's landlord and Debbie's employer at the kennel, bought the group lunch at a local bar and proceeded to drink heavily. After lunch, the group returned to the kennel. Debbie then took the girls to get pizza, but insisted they returned quickly, anticipating trouble. When they returned, Bono, intoxicated at this point, became agitated. Everyone left the room at Debbie's urging, except Bono, who seized Mary, who was 11 years old, and refused to let go. Arnie headed back to the apartment and ordered Bono to release Mary. Wanda recounted the following events to the police. Mary ran for the car as Debbie attempted to mitigate the situation by standing between the two men. Wanda tried in vain to pull Arnie away, and Arnie, during all of this, was growling like an animal. Then he drew a 5-inch pocket knife and stabbed Bono repeatedly.
Oh, wow.
Bono died several hours later. According to Arnie's lawyer, Bono had suffered 4 to 5 tremendous wounds, mostly to his chest, and one that stretched from his stomach to the base of his heart. After he had attacked Bono, Arnie ran off. He was found 2 miles from the site of the killing. Sergeant Gordon Fairchild of the Brookfield Police Department said he helped arrest Johnson on a charge of assault while Alan Bono was still being treated at the hospital. He said Johnson told him he did not mean to hurt anyone and was unable to remember anything. While putting him into the police cruiser, Arnie said, "I need help because I've got a drinking problem." Keep that in mind. He literally admitted to having a drinking problem. Fairchild said, that's what the police said, but when Arnie was informed at the police headquarters that Bono had died, Fairchild said the suspect became incoherent and then fell asleep for 20 to 25 minutes. Like, Arnie literally, fell
He
asleep.
just fell asleep.
Just, passed out for 20 to 25 minutes. And when Arnie awoke, police detective Sergeant John Lucas advised him of his rights and charged Arnie Johnson with first-degree murder. He was held at the Bridgeport Correctional Center on a bail of $125,000. And this was the first unlawful killing in the history of Brookfield, Connecticut. This case was the first killing there, which is insane. The day after Arnie killed Bono, officially, Lorraine Warren informed the Brookfield police that Arnie was possessed when the crime was committed. Hey, guess what? This guy that just killed this landlord was actually possessed. Possessed. Weird. Why are you involved in this? You're not a lawyer. Anyway, a media frenzy soon surrounded the story, fueled in part by the Warrens, whose agents promised that lectures, a book, and a movie detailing the gruesome case were in the works. Just conveniently. Martin Minella, Arnie's lawyer, received calls from all over the world about what was being called the demon murder trial. Insane. Minella traveled.
The demon made him do it.
The demon made him do it. The devil in the courtroom, brother. Minella traveled to England to meet with lawyers who had been involved in 2 similar cases, of which we will talk about in a little bit. Though neither went to trial. So those 2 never went to trial. They were settled out of court. He planned to bring in exorcism specialists from Europe and threatened to subpoena the priests who oversaw David Glatzel's exorcisms if they did not cooperate with the defense. The trial took place in Connecticut's Superior Court in Danbury, beginning on October 28, 1981. Minella attempted to submit a plea of not guilty by virtue of possession, but the presiding judge, Robert Callahan, promptly rejected this defense. Callahan argued that no such defense could ever exist in a court of law due to lack of evidence, and that it would be irrelevant and unscientific to allow related testimony. The defense chose to imply that Johnson acted in self-defense. Crazy. Because of this, the jury was not legally allowed to consider demonic possession as a viable explanation for the killing. The jury deliberated for 15 hours over 3 days before convicting Arnie on November 24th, 1981, a little more than a month after it began, of first-degree manslaughter. On December 18th, 1981, he was sentenced to 10 to 12 years in prison. Guess how many he actually served?
2.
5. You were so close. He only served 5.
I was going to say 5, but
he only served 5. So, or 1 month short of 5. So 4 and 11 months, which isn't crazy for literally brutally killing this landlord. But I mean, the landlord was kind of suspect by grabbing an 11-year-old girl and not allowing her to leave.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you stab people. Don't stop people.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Lorraine Warren defended her work with the family, claiming that the 6 priests who were involved in the incident agreed at the time that the boy was possessed and that the supernatural events she described were real. No independent verification of this claim about the priest's alleged views was provided, so none of the priests were allowed to speak. Lorraine wasn't allowed to speak. Insane. Glatzel's father, Karl Glatzel Sr., denies telling the author that his son was possessed. So basically, the dad was like, my son was never possessed. So you were just like submitting him to exorcisms for no reason. Sorry, our cat's under the bed and freaks me out.
No, Diggs and Ein are literally playing right
I know,
now.
they're literally playing. So if you hear anything weird, it's the dog and the cat freaking out. And now Dix is going to say hi.
You're fine.
Okay. Anyways. Arnie and Debbie wholeheartedly supported the Warrens' account of demonic possession and have stated that litigants were suing simply for money, saying that, like, Bono's family was just wanting to sue for money. How crazy is that?
That's
That's
crazy.
That's crazy. That's wild. Okay, Diggs.
We also have a special guest.
This is what happens. Get 3 special guests. Anything to say, Diggs?
You think it's crazy? This whole case is just
insane. And it only gets worse. But from the previous episode about Ed and Lorraine, we know that they coached David Glatzel's mom to believe that he was possessed. And I'm just like so flabbergasted that Ed and Lorraine were even allowed to be at the trial and even speak on behalf of Arnie for like eyewitness testimony, which is insane. But even before Arnie, there was Michael Taylor. See how I said Arnie was the first court trial in the United States to have demonic possession for a defense? Well, in 1974 in England, Michael Taylor had brutally murdered his wife after having a series of exorcisms. Michael Taylor, a 31-year-old butcher, lived in Ossett, West Yorkshire, with his wife Christine and their children. The family was heavily involved in their local Christian fellowship group, where things started to go awry. Christine Taylor had started speaking about an alleged sexual relationship between Michael and a woman named Marie Robinson, a member of their church. This sparked Michael's feelings of guilt, shame, and internal turmoil. Eventually, things escalated to the point where Michael admitted to feeling evil within himself, something that prompted the church leaders to recommend that he undergo an exorcism.
And who did it? Did our friends do it?
No, her friends did not do it. In October 74, after a few months of increasingly erratic behavior from Michael, a local Anglican priest, Peter Vincent, decided to take matters into his own hands. Peter was known as an exorcist, and he brought in a team of ministers to help. They performed an exorcism that lasted all night at St. Thomas's Church in Gobber. According to reports, the priests believed they had cast out 40 demons during the ceremony, including demons of
40?
Yes.
Demons?
40.
In one exorcism.
In one exorcism, there was 40 demons living inside. And get ready for what kind of demons they were. They were including demons of incest, bestiality, and blasphemy. Technically, homosexual relations. But after the exorcism was over, there was a sense of unease. The priests felt they had gotten rid of most demons, but some, including demons of insanity, violence, and murder, remained inside of Michael.
Why didn't they get them all out?
Why didn't you get them all out? If you thought there was some unease, how about you keep going? I don't know.
That's what I would have done.
I don't know. I'm not an exorcist.
Sure. This is true.
Just mere hours after the exorcism, Michael went home. But as predicted, the demons remained inside him and took control. That night after the exorcism, he murdered his wife.
Well, when you leave all the demons in there and you think there's a murder demon.
You think there's a murder demon. Maybe don't let him go home. Maybe don't. He brutally murdered Christine in a horrific attack. He strangled her with his bare hands, tore out her eyes,
This is horrible.
and gouged out her tongue.
Oh my God.
It was a horrific scene of violence. And after murdering Christine, this is so sad, Michael also attacked the family dog, strangling their poodle. What are you looking at? I'm looking at you.
Guys, I'm hearing stuff now. I knew
No,
this was
it's
going to
next
happen.
door. It's next door. It's next door. I locked the door. We're okay. That's our neighbor.
All right.
Are you? That's our neighbor.
It's our neighbor, guys.
But it didn't stop there. Michael was later found naked in the street, covered in blood, by a police officer. He had completely lost touch with reality and was utterly incoherent. When the police took him in, he admitted he had killed his wife, but he claimed he wasn't in control. He said that the demons made him do it.
I believe it. They left him in there.
They left him in there. Those priests said, we left them in there.
But still,
Don't kill people.
this is a horrible thing that he just did.
Don't kill people. And don't blame it on demons. That may or may not be real. Anyways, continue. Michael Taylor's case went to trial in 1975, and the defense team presented the argument that Michael was not in his right mind at the time of the murder. They invoked the insanity defense, essentially arguing that he was possessed or suffering from severe mental illness. The court did not accept the demonic possession claim, but it did acquit him on the grounds of insanity. Taylor was sent to the Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric institution, for 2 years. After that, he spent another 2 years in a secure ward in Bradford before being released. So this man murdered his wife brutally and also choked out the poodle and only served basically 4 years.
Did I miss that part?
Yeah.
Choked out the poodle?
I literally told you before the scary part.
Well,
I know you were
I
scared.
got a little distracted with me thinking that there was maybe a demon in our house. I don't.
There's no demon. Stop.
I don't like when. I mean, murder is bad, but like when you get the dog too.
That's fucked.
Yeah. Wait, did the dog actually die, or did he just?
He said he strangled it, so I'm assuming that it passed away.
Okay. That's
fucked up. Anyways, like the Arnie Johnson case, Taylor's murder became a media sensation. The newspapers dubbed the incident the demon murder case, and it sparked widespread discussion about the potential link between demonic possession and violent behavior. The story was especially sensationalized in tabloid headlines. For many people in the UK, the case was a turning point in the public perception of exorcisms and possession. While the trial ultimately focused on Taylor's insanity, the connection to demonic forces stuck with the public's imagination for years to come. Fair. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And much like the Arnie Johnson case, the Michael Taylor case raised questions about the role of exorcisms and whether people might be driven to commit extreme violence under the influence of external forces, like demons. In both cases, the Warrens played a significant role in promoting the idea that possession could explain violent actions. But unlike Arnie's case, which ultimately ended in manslaughter, Michael's case ended with a verdict of insanity. But now is the time for the Son of Sam case. Have you ever heard of the Son of Sam? Like David Berkowitz?
Who?
David Berkowitz. Never? Okay,
no,
well,
I've never.
Strap in, baby. This one's crazy. He's a serial killer who is insane. Okay. David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam, is one of the most infamous serial killers in U.S. history. His case, like the others we discussed, is linked to the idea of demonic possession, though his connection to it is a bit more complicated and layered with psychological, cultural, and even media influence. In the summer of 1976, a wave of fear gripped New York City as a series of brutal shootings began to unfold. Over the course of 13 months, a little more than a year, Berkowitz killed 6 people and wounded 7 others in attacks that all were seemingly random. The victims were young couples sitting in parked cars or pedestrians in the street, making the crimes feel entirely unpredictable and terrifying. Berkowitz taunted the police and the public with letters he sent to the media, which were full of cryptic, almost nonsensical messages. The letters were signed Son of Sam, a name that would become infamous. One of the most chilling parts of Berkowitz's story was the motive he claimed for his murders. He said he was instructed to kill by a demon. In interviews, Berkowitz later explained that he was possessed by a demon he called Sam, and that this demon commanded him to kill. Berkowitz claimed that the demon resided in his neighbor's dog, a black lab named Harvey.
What?
Let's just talk about that. This demon presides in a cute little black lab, and his name is Harvey. And suddenly, you're like, Sam. I'm the son of Sam. The demon's name is Sam. I gotta listen to Sam. And this dog. How's insane?
It's interesting.
It's insane, babe. You can say it's insane.
It's insane. It's insane.
And according to Berkowitz, it was Harvey's barking that gave him the demon's
The
instructions.
commands.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. He often said that Sam told him to carry out the murders, even claiming that Sam was a demonic entity who had appeared to him multiple times and urged him to do it. Being like, do this. Go to this street and do it. Like, what? From the dog? The concept of demonic influence in his life was not something Berkowitz brought up initially. For much of the public and the police, Berkowitz's initial motivations were mysterious. He never gave an original motivation for killing all those people. His crime spree began without any clear connection to the victims, and it wasn't until his eventual arrest that his twisted narrative about the dog and the demon surfaced. Initially, Berkowitz seemed like any other deranged killer. But after his arrest, things started to take an unexpected turn. Berkowitz didn't even just confess to the murders. He painted them in a supernatural light that shocked the world. Berkowitz's claim of demonic possession came years after he was even in custody. Like, this came like years after he got arrested. That he decided to say, oh, I was possessed by a demon.
So he didn't say it when it first happened?
No, it was like years later.
Hmm.
It wasn't part of his defense strategy, even in his trial. He pleaded guilty to all of the murders in 1978 and was sentenced to life in prison. However, the claim about the demonic influence came later, after he had been already in jail. His explanation that he was under the influence of a demon named Sam, obviously, and seemed to be an attempt to explain his violent urges. He wasn't even trying to get out of prison with a demonic possession defense because he had already confessed. But later, he starts telling everyone, oh yeah, there was a demon telling me what to do. And this was taking place in the 1970s, obviously, during Satanic Panic. Like when everyone was fearful that there were Satan worshipers everywhere.
Okay.
They were terrified of cults, demons, and the occult. And here comes Berkowitz doubling down on this narrative of demonic influence. It's like he's feeding into this growing paranoia. Like everyone was already freaked out. Here's this serial killer being like, oh yeah, it was a demon.
Yeah.
So weird. And at the time, the media was fascinated by Berkowitz's story, his letters, his persona as the son of Sam, and his wild claims about demons fed perfectly into the public's fears about the occult. The Son of Sam murders happened right in the middle of the Satanic Panic era, and there was a huge societal obsession with demons, cults, and devil worship. And it was not uncommon for people to start seeing demonic influence in all sorts of criminal activity. In some ways, Berkowitz's claims about Sam played directly into the narrative, and he became the perfect figure for tabloids to latch onto. And so the media made him even more famous. And even with the name, like the Son of Sam, you're like hoping to be on a headline. Like it makes your name so much easier to say than David Berkowitz.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just so crazy. But here's the question. Was Berkowitz truly possessed by a demon, or was he just mentally ill and playing into the hysteria? But this is where things get complicated because Berkowitz has been diagnosed with several psychological conditions, including paranoid schizophrenia.
So it's very possible it's just like a
It could have
mental
just been his
illness.
schizophrenia.
Yeah.
His behavior, his strange letters, and his fragmented stories about demons could all point to several mental illnesses. And it's possible that Berkowitz just felt he had no control over his actions. When someone is mentally ill, they can sometimes hear voices or feel compelled to do things they can't explain. That doesn't necessarily mean that demons are involved. But then again, we have to ask, could it be a combination of things? A person already vulnerable to mental illness might latch on to these supernatural explanations, especially if they feel like they're outside of society. But eventually, Berkowitz recanted some of his earlier claims. He admitted that he was not actually possessed by a demon, but he had used the supernatural excuse as a way to explain his violent actions. His motivation? He wanted to shift blame away from himself. He would later say, "I'm not a monster. I'm just a guy who got lost."
All right.
That's a shitty explanation.
Yeah.
That's still a
You
shitty
still shouldn't
explanation.
murder
Yeah,
like that.
don't
Like,
murder people. Don't murder people. How hard is it? Don't murder people. In the end, it feels like Berkowitz was trying to make sense of a crime spree he couldn't understand himself. And the demon story was just a way for him to cope with the guilt, in my opinion.
yeah. I think, yeah, I agree.
Uh-huh. And in prison, Berkowitz eventually converted to Christianity and has since claimed to have found peace. He now often talks about his crimes as a way to warn others. So he went from being this demonically possessed killer to someone who claims he found redemption, which is a crazy turnaround, making it seem if he truly believed in the demon or if it was just a fabricated narrative to deal with his overwhelming guilt. And for me, it sounds like guilt. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like guilt to me.
Mm-hmm. Berkowitz's story doesn't fit neatly into the category of demonic possession defense like Arnie's or Michael's, but it certainly plays with similar themes. He was a product of mental illness, media influence, and the cultural fears of the time. His use of demonic possession narrative is arguably just as important in shaping his legacy as his crime. 18-year-old Lorraine Mubala, a student originally from Zimbabwe, stabbed her mother multiple times in her sleep at their Leicester home. She had donned dark clothes and gloves and a homemade balaclava before launching the attack. Her mother survived, though, managing to wrestle the knife away despite serious facial and arm injuries. According to police testimony, Lorraine appeared to be in a trance-like state during the arrest, crying, shaking, hyperventilating. She repeatedly murmured about spirits and said things like, "My nan told me my dad has been killed by my mother." At trial in Leicester Crown Court, the story took a surreal turn. Lorraine told the court that she had experienced a vivid dream or vision of her late grandmother, who claimed Lorraine's mother caused her father's death and demanded vengeance. So she is saying that she attacked her mom because her grandmother told her to, in a ghost form. Justice Keith, acknowledging Lorraine's deeply held belief, stated she believes spirits can enter the body and make you do things that otherwise you would not have done. Though experts confirmed she was of sound mind, meaning she wasn't legally insane, the jury accepted that her beliefs significantly impacted her actions enough to reduce her culpability, meaning like she wasn't held to the standard of regular people because her beliefs are held at a higher standard. So if you say, I believe that like I was supposed to do this because I grew up to believe that like dreams are like a sign from the afterlife,
Mhm.
you can get off on it. She was found not guilty of attempted murder, but convicted of the lesser charge of unlawful wounding. She was sentenced to a 12-month suspended prison sentence, plus 120 hours of community service, and required supervision to address her belief in spirits to prevent reoccurrence. To prevent her from doing this to someone else. So I know, how crazy. Lorraine's defense hinged on her profound belief in witchcraft and spiritual possession, a belief shared and attested by her mother. The judge described the case as unique, noting that in Zimbabwe, such issues might have led to traditional healing or exorcism, not a criminal trial. Yet critics question whether these beliefs should carry legal weight. As one analyst noted, the court allowed personal belief and possession to mitigate a violent crime, stirring debates over the boundary between mental health, cultural beliefs, and legal responsibility. So if you have a cultural belief that you can steal from people, you can get off the hook in London if you want. Just saying.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Apparently it is. Lorraine believed her late grandma was speaking through her. I mean, that's chilling just on its own. And here's what gets me. She was legally sane. Like, they tested her to see if she was like mentally unwell,
Mhm.
and she was sane. She was ruled as sane. And she knew what she did was violent, but her belief made it feel unstoppable in her mind because she believed that her grandmother is like, do this or you will die. Insane. And the court accepted it. Not a get out of jail free card, but a very unusual sentence. It raised the question, should deeply held spiritual beliefs be held higher than the law? Imagine if someone claimed they were on a sacred mission from their God. How do you weigh that against public safety? Like, how are you supposed to do that to ensure people are safe?
I don't know. How do you do
So,
it?
I don't know. I don't know. Lorraine's case is a powerful illustration of how excuse me, I'm going to start that over. Lorraine's case is a powerful illustration of how culture, spirituality, and mental state can collide in the courtroom. Unlike an insanity plea, her defense rested solely on her belief, deeply rooted in her cultural background, that she was possessed and that drove her actions. Are you ready for the next one? This one's insane. Okay, so next up is Jonathan Lee Reed. Imagine stabbing your cellmate 13 times and then telling the court that demons made you do it. That's what happened in a 2014 case in Phoenix, Arizona. Reed claimed possession, and yes, the appeals court actually ruled he deserved a new trial because his lawyer insisted on it. On using demonic possession as a defense. Insane. On May 13th, 2014, Jonathan Lee Reed stabbed his cellmate 13 times with a homemade knife at the Federal Correctional Institute in Phoenix. Jonathan later insisted he had no memory of the attack. He claimed demonic forces and voodoo-like symptoms, like feeling his stomach was being out, driving him to violence. He felt like his stomach was like coming out of his body. And at first, he was found incompetent to stand trial due to several mental illnesses being diagnosed with schizophrenia and cannabis use disorder, rooted in delusional thoughts about Satan and demons. Then, 4 months later, after being in treatment, Jonathan was deemed competent to face trial. His attorney filed an insanity plea, supported by experts who referenced Reed's psychosis. But Reed rejected the insanity defense outright. Instead, he wanted to argue he was possessed by demons, because he fully believes that he was possessed. He attempted to call a neuropathologist to speak about demon cases he observed in other inmates. The judge, however, overruled Reed's rejection and imposed the insanity defense despite his wishes, citing his bizarre and nonsensical beliefs. And then, just 6 years ago, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of Reed, ordering a new trial, saying that Reed didn't get what he wanted.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're going to put you on trial again. They held that under the Sixth Amendment, a defendant has the right to choose their own defense, even if it's bound to fail. His lawyer improperly ignored Reed's expressed wishes. The appeals court recognized a core principle. Legal strategy can't override a defendant's autonomy, even when that strategy is irrational. So if you are being put on trial for murder and you believe that you're demonically possessed, your lawyer has to prove that you're demonically possessed.
Okay.
Crazy.
So did they end up proving? We're probably gonna find out, right? Or no?
Basically, they're giving him a new court trial. So the appeals court ruled in his favor, saying that you should have got a new trial, but because you're already serving, you still have to serve those years. You know what I mean? So they tacked on another few years to his prison case. But just like imagine you're a juror. You're sitting in the courtroom and the defendant says, "It wasn't insanity, I was possessed." And the judge still forces a different defense. It's just wild. The court essentially said, "No, we're going with insanity, whether you like it or not." But the appeals judges came back and said, "Nope, even a delusional defense is yours to make."
Honestly, if it was me and the jury, I really would not know, like, what to do with it. Like, I don't know, like...
You're like, are you? Can you prove that? Can you speak in tongues to me? Can you tell me the name of my firstborn child that I don't have yet? Like, I don't, like, that's crazy. Like, how
did they ever prove the, like, demonic
possession?
Did they ever do an exorcism on him?
No.
No, they never did? Okay.
No. I mean, but, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you're possessed. I mean, I think he just literally got pissed off at his cellmate and did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then it was like, I'm possessed. But that's my opinion. So there you have it. Arnie Johnson, the Devil Made Me Do It case, as well as other court cases who claimed demon possession as a defense. Okay, babe, what do you think was the scariest case in your opinion?
Honestly, the Arnie case really freaked me out with all the noises that he was making, the growling, the...
So what you're saying is I shouldn't growl at you?
No, don't growl at me because I'll be freaked out.
Sounds good. But whether it's true crime, conspiracy, or just straight up spooky, we're going to keep talking about it. Like, follow, comment, and stay tuned for new episodes each week because it will just keep getting dark and spookier from here. So stay nosy and stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Hi, guys. I completely forgot to mention, but we have merch out. It's our logo, and you can get one too by going to the link in our bio and in the show notes. Okay, love you. Bye.